Masa longan ya. Okay.
Campaign way. I don't know you've my Jaffa.
Youth by
Like youth no. I get someone red.
Red man.
Okay, so you can red, but you can't red out. So when you red out,
I won't tell.
Okay.
No matter.
Mammy Jimmy, now life will be fair. When he by hats me, we are red. Teacher can't let me lay down on the plate. Next up, so cost and nanny, I should hear. You see, my name is Sikosi. Jesus Christ, I can find for CEO National Youth Authority, Osman Ayariga, lawyer Osman Ayariga also joining us, very good friend of mine. So we're going to have a conversation with Honorable Opare Addo and Osman Ayariga. Briefly, before we get back to the music, it's all about Red Means Stop, Stop Red campaign, right here on Y107.9. Welcome. But that was a grand entry. Welcome, brother. How you doing? Let's have you here. So we're going to get over that microphone over there. Yes, so that's Osman Ayariga. Lawyer Osman Ayariga is the CEO of the National Youth Authority. So we're still expecting We're expecting some more people to join us, but in the meantime, we have the Honorable Minister, Youth Development and Empowerment with us, and of course, CEO of National Youth Authority, Osman Ayariga. I'm still going to go on with the Honorable Minister of Youth Development and Empowerment before we get to Osman Ayariga. So,
good evening. On behalf of the Ministry for Youth Development and the National Youth Authority, I want to say a very big thank you to all of you for coming out this evening to support our fight against the abuse of the substance called red. The campaign has just begun, and as riders, we are calling on all of you that whatever we can all do to help fight this menace and this canker, we must do it. Red no. Because the effects that we are seeing, and the Ukra moto, go be to a cheat, that's what for me, that's you said it. Once your faculties are not working, you remember to be about don't endanger your life, don't endanger life of people not to it, And now what we're writing is people for now in China, maybe a sebi. All factory, no problem, no. I can't say the best say you know best one. Monam krom, motensem. Munni baby on moton, mama ya sonte. There is no future in the abuse of drugs. Sierra Leone, over 20% of women was because of drugs. You best be do the best ceremony. Mobet me a boy, I'm a yaku, a Siadi we are. The best ceremony, mobile boy. If you have information, you are for my baby, you're more ton, Mama. Ebiana, you, Ebiana, Ebia, don't the pa, to be a quaconda, no aquamani. Ebia, baby, was says he can't want in a school. All him say, all my best is if ye, not said also, where do ye, do be a quacomani, do be a quadada. If you are no back. And first feeling now, Benyano, actually, a bit more the over concert. That 5 minutes of high, 10 minutes of high, you know, every you Jirebu, it's Messer. My in I kind of home, near Cosanto Bay. The demo in Abema code, the Dio, let you know, and I'm a system by. Okay.
Full convoy. The use of drugs. There are also laws against the abuse of drugs. So obviously there are policies that regulate the usage and abuse of all forms of drugs. Not only opioids, but any substance that you abuse that will get you high. It's against most of these policies. So we're looking at all agencies that fall within through or the value chain in which most of these opioids pass through. Example, talking about customs, because that is the entry point. You speak about the Ministry of Health, you speak about Ghana Pharmaceutical Agency, you talk about all the, because most of these drugs are being sold in the pharmacies. And you talk about Food and Drugs Authority, you talk about Ghana Standards Authority. So these are all agencies that we need to collaborate with and let them know that we need to implement the policy to make sure that drugs or substances that are not authorized by most of these agencies are not brought in. So that from the policy point of view, we need to collaborate with all these agencies to make sure that even the entry of these substances is curtailed or is stopped abruptly.
Your outfit, NYA, what role are you playing in this campaign?
Very responsible citizens, we build very responsible youth. So the main role we are playing is to make sure that we are protecting the youth of this campaign. That is our main mandate. So anything that will seem to turn out very irresponsible youth, we must step in. So not only in the issue of drug abuse, there are also issues of youth indiscipline. Last week I had a delegation come to my office and their interest also had to do with youth indiscipline. Another group came to speak about peace and security within the youth, especially within the secondary schools. So it's not only about drug abuse that will see the National Youth Authority. Anything to do with youth, anything to do with issues of youth, you will see the National Youth Authority, and of course, you will see the Ministry for Youth Development Empowerment there in fighting to make sure that the youth are well protected.
Any other information you want to share, you consider worth sharing?
Yes, in the coming days, we will be moving everywhere on the streets to make sure that we start. First and foremost, we need to start with the awareness. We continue with the campaign. Whilst we're doing that, we'll also call on the agencies to try as much as possible to ban most of these drugs. Especially most of them are labeled under different names and they get in, and this is what they are. So in the coming days, beyond just the advocacy, we'll start calling on these agencies to begin to crack the whip and begin to actually prosecute people who may be importing most of these drugs. Thank you very much.
It's like a football game. 22 players play in a football game. Over the years, our focus has not been on the 22 players. Rather, it has been on that leather ball. President Mahama believes that it is the 22 players that makes the game exciting. And so let me set up a ministry that will be very intentional, that will focus more on issues that affect young people. And we all know that if this country didn't make any headway, if this country is going to develop properly, it rests solely on the shoulders of the young people. If you have 38% of your total population constituting 15, being between the ages of 15 to 35, then it is just proper that place special emphasis on that ministry. That is why today we have the Ministry for Youth Development. Our mandate is broad. It is to empower, develop young people, both personal and professionally. So when I say personal, things that affect them, like this campaign we are launching on this issue of drug abuse, things that affect their education, their personal development, and then in terms of their professional development, in terms of job creation, skills training, and getting them ready for the job market. We also have the mandate of bringing up young people so that they can enjoy the decision making of this country. And so we have that mandate to also support and promote young people in all spheres of life, depending on what they want to do. So, technically, that is all we do.
Thank you so much. I'm sure this question will also be on mind. There's nothing as such with your ministry. You know, it's new, it's ground up. How challenging is your role, looking at the fact that you didn't join a Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Health with a track record of things that have been done in the past?
The program, be part of us, our issues, the scholarship secretariat, and even and even the YA, which originally started with the Ministry of Employment. And so it was going to be a challenge. Even getting the human resource to work in luckily, the Chief of Staff was very helpful. We managed to secure a building. We are currently operating from the old sanitation ministry. Even the human resource to fill the various positions of the challenge. I am still operating at half capacity. Anyway, it's just 3 months now, so we are very hopeful that the new crop will get all the needed human resource. But it's always been a challenge. But believe me, we are up to the task, and that is what we are trying to do. We are playing our fair price nicely, and I believe that in about 3 or 4 months, we should be good and we should be
Thank you, Honorable. I'll get back to you in a minute, but let me engage my brother here, Osman Ayariga. He's the CEO of National Youth Authority, obviously, also with a mandate to development of the youth.
My entry was vetted and approved by the Minister for Youth Development. So my big brother vetted and approved. I mean, if you grew up in the north, especially Boko, the first thing we saw was I prepared you on the motorbike to take you to school in the car. So, I mean, it has always been part of it. So it's nothing new. Then my car here, you know, the rate at which the drivers are being a bit reckless and the disrespect for other riders, sometimes making a bit dangerous and risky to ride. But thanks to His Excellency John Mahama, the other business will legalize it. Have some legislation to go to right through, to have legal backing, and of course, I will join them and we'll continue riding.
I love the fact that you've taken the policy angle. That's a very commendable thing that NBC has done. I must say, they're obviously a part of, you know, our transport system, and so the earlier we start focusing on them and then basically making policies to protect them, the better. Still staying on policy, the current economic state of Ghana and the youth, I mean, basically complaining about access to capital, high interest rates, etc., has come up. What I want to find out from you before we get to the red conversation, how is NYA facilitating dialogue? And I say dialogue because I believe there must be conversations around it. There should be conversations like this before we get into a point where we start.
And also to YFM for all the good things we're doing. I don't know what the Y stands for. I'll propose that you change it to youth FM.
It is youth.
I don't know what it was. I'll propose you change it to youth FM. I mean, that was just by the way. Yes. We're going through some Herculean challenges as a country and also as young people of this country. Everybody pretends to be doing something for the youth, whilst at the end of the day, nothing is actually being done for the youth. Because we do not include the youth in policy making, we don't include the youth in decision making. And that is where NYA is positioned to make sure that the views of the youth are ahead, the views of the youth are encompassed, and the youth are actually engaged in policy making, policy direction, and policy implementation. Just as we always say, I also want to recommend His Excellency John Mahama for setting up a special ministry to drive the activities, the affairs, the empowerment and development of the youth. So it's not just about the grammar, it's not just about the talk, but he's walking this talk. That alone is enough for us to know that this is a government that is interested in making sure that the views of the youth are encapsulated in everything that we do. Now, at the NYA, we have what we call the National Youth Policy. And the youth policy encompasses all the things that the youth want to see as far as development is concerned. And that youth policy is from now to about 2032 and how we can implement it. And key among them is for all agencies that seek or think to do things that are youth-oriented should be able to be coordinated more by the authority. And if my minister has already mentioned to you, tomorrow he's having a dialogue with all ministries to find out what key things are actually as far as youth development is concerned. Because every ministry and everything they are doing has that element of youth in it. Whether it's agri, whether it's fisheries, whether it's foreign affairs, whether it's Ministry of Education, everything you do has an element or an ingredient of youth in it. Now, the issue to do with high interest rates, etc., we will continue to advocate that there should be a special purpose for it, mainly for the youth. Because, example, if you are a starter and you're a young person going out to seek funding or capital to start your business, you cannot compete with the global giants. Example, excuse me to mention some well-known companies. For example, if I'm going to seek for a loan, I mean, the audience I will receive will not be the audience maybe.
And so you can imagine
his consciousness, if he's high, he's in that place. The dangers that come with it. I've also told people that you may sit in the comfort of your house and say that this is not my problem, but it will hit and strike very close to home because you don't have control over your environment. Your children are in school, your siblings are in school, your friends are out there going about their normal business. Drugs are expensive anywhere, and once you lose control of your mental faculty, anything can happen. And so, for instance, I go out there, I abuse the drugs, and then I lose control of my mental faculty. I could be the one to attack you in traffic. You will be driving in your very beautiful car, your Mercedes-Benz or whatever. I could just open your door, strike at you. If I'm looking for money to buy this opioid or these drugs, and I don't have it, I must find it because I may be having a Kotek. And so I may end up becoming a thief, a criminal who will come into your house and come and rob you. And you may not be lucky because you may struggle with me. And because I don't have control of my mental faculty, I may do what I need to do to get what I have to take off me. It may result in death, it may result in me naming you, or doing something on terror towards you. And so everybody must be concerned. It is so close that you don't know when it will hit you right in the face. And if we don't all fight this, rid our cities of this drugs, Ghana will bear the unfavorable consequences of this. Too much for it.
I'm told we're moving to Ododo here, and
youth as a young person, you should have a very,
Solid
good,
foundation,
solid foundation with solid proposal. And of course, what we're seeking to do is to make sure that most of the startups are biased towards IT and agriculture, because we want most of the youth to go into tech space and also agriculture to be able to feed this country, both in the tech space and also the food basket. So
We invite you to participate in this. So after speaking, we decided to take questions. I answered almost all the questions. And then the last person in question asked me, Honorable, fully red. So I said yes, it's the color red. And everybody in the auditorium just comes into that. Oh. I said, what is happening? I said, I don't know what red is. And I said, no. Truth be told, I have not paid a lot more attention on social media like I used to be. Like I said, setting up a new ministry, it was a challenge. So the guy who asked the question decided to educate me. So he told me about the drug that is out there, destroying lives, and the nickname for the drug is called Red. So when I resumed my seats, I went on social media and then I googled Red. I was sad based on what I saw. So the drive back from UPSA to the ministry, I was asking myself, what is happening to our country and what can we do? And I remembered my mandate that I am supposed to be in charge of young people. So it will not be under my watch that the youth of this country will be destroyed. Immediately I got to the office, I called my team and I said, we must do something about it. A lot of them also believe it. My chief director, what is red? So I showed them some of the videos I've seen, and it was a bit scary. Within that same week, Entertainment Week, and I walked into my office to come and discuss a proposal with me. So I told them that I will only talk to you if you join me launch this program and fight this menace. And when I shared it with them, they said, we are also concerned. We've also seen the video and it's come as a sense of urgency that we must do something about it. And that is how come today we've launched this campaign called Red Means Stop. And you see, it's scary. Within the last 2 or 3 weeks, ever since I got to hear about Red, and I started doing my background research, I knew about the menace of drugs. I knew drugs have always been a problem. But some of the revelations that have come to light is surprising. Today, our tertiary institutions, our universities, are more or less the epicenters of this substance abuse. It doesn't end there. There is a report That's the minister, the veteran minister from Interior shared with me. And even at the launch, he mentioned it. That's 10 secondary schools in the northern region that were sampled. 68% of those who were questioned said they had experimented with one drug or the other.
These are
Senior high schools. I've gotten many phone calls from people within our communities, especially our mining communities, where Galamsey is.
see how let us do and the future will surely be bright. Let's not pray for which stops us as a country and as a youth and as a future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Osman Ayariga, lawyer Osman Ayariga is the CEO of National Youth Authority. And we're going to hear the final words from our Honorable Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment. Of course, he is the man in charge of, the entire youth mandate. He says so much about what. I want to hear from you, Minister. Talk to the youth. What FM carries a mandate when it comes to reaching the youth? Today we're live on here on the drive of your life. What is your final word for them beyond red mean stop? What is your message to the youth of Ghana?
President Mahama has a plan for every young person. He sets up a ministry of youth development. His young ministry, visitors go online, look for us, come there with your problems and let's help solve. We have a simple mandate. Our mandate is to develop you and empower you. That is what we see ourselves to do. The last thing I want to touch on is take it from where Osman left it. 5 minutes of high will destroy your future. Don't get high. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your life. Ghana needs you. Contribute meaningfully to the development of Ghana. Join hands, fix drugs. We know who is doing it, report it, and let's go eradicate our streets of Ghana. Ghana will be much safer. We will build a more better and prosperous Ghana for all of us, where we're able to eradicate our streets of Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the Ministry of Youth Development.
Yeah, all the way from Accra.
Okay, so we are talking about stopping red. You know what red means?
Yes.
Abuse of a drug called red. And it's like an epidemic sweeping through the youthful population of the country, destroying the youth. I guess you've seen a lot of the videos on social media, especially TikTok.
Yes.
I mean, the abusers of this drug. What comes in mind when you see this kind of videos popping up on social media?
Yes. One, what comes in mind is that it's spoiling our youth. One, it makes the youth misbehave, kills them early. Like, they will not reach their old age and they die. So it's spoiling the youth. And it's not giving them future, and they are dying early with this use of these drugs. That's what it does.
How disturbing is this, especially where a lot of youth are involved?
It's very disturbing because it's not making the country one progress. And for example, if someone is in an institution and the person would have to retire, we need someone to replace that very person. And if we, the youth, are taking in drugs and we are dying, who are we again to replace? There's no one to replace the retired people.
So how do you think this can be addressed among the youth? Because you are youth yourself,
Yes.
and you see your colleagues abusing drugs such
Yes.
as red. How do you think this can be resolved?
It's simply we need to stop once and for all and make police too aware. Anytime they see something like this, that person should be arrested and prosecuted.
You think prosecution is the way to go? Because some people may have this maybe abusing drug due to some kind of problems they are in. You know, when you are in a problem and you take alcohol, you drink your head off. It knocks you off your problem. But once the alcohol finishes in your bloodstream, then you realize, reality hits you again.
Yes.
Same applies to this drug. So you think prosecution is the way to go?
Is part, but address also drug dealers, drug stores, and then those that sell the drugs at the roadside. They should stop selling those drugs to youth or to people anyhow. I think before someone will come with the to buy a drug, that person must have a doctor prescription first. If not, no one should sell such drugs to people.
When you go to Agbogbloshie area, there are a lot of people who are selling medicine or medicine, but they don't have licenses. You see them, they carry the medicine in rubber bags and move around. Have you been seeing them?
I've seen them. But those people, I think government or the police or the officials should do something about it to help them and guide them how to operate or how to work.